Okay, here is for the 50-point game. So, Shogun, what was that, and what are we talking about today? Well, dear viewer, today we are deep diving into the only game that convinces me I might actually have masochistic tendencies. Blood Bowl. Ignore everything else on my channel, it doesn't count. If you want a quick summary, Blood Bowl is the NFL combined with tabletop fantasy, a turn-based game where picking up the ball is considered an accomplishment, and how leaving your most important player surrounded by the worshippers of corn will require you to select a new favorite player. We over at the Fleet's Discord have run multiple seasons of this game, and we're still pretty bad. But today I'm here to tell you the story of our third season, as well as teach you at home more about this game that I despise love, so that you may be tempted to love it at home along with me. Yeah, I think they'll fall for that. But before we do any of that, let me introduce you to the team I will be running for this season. The BanterBowl has always had a little bit of a lean towards a slight affinity around... okay, they just enjoy murdering each other. I've always tried to balance this out by going for more agility-focused teams. In Season 1, it was the Black Market Bullies, who were phenomenal at figuring out whose severed arm belonged to who for our team. Yeah, no good. In Season 2, it was the Scornful Gaze, a Dark Elf team, a significant improvement. Just not a team that I ever quite got to grips with, a little bit advanced for me. So this season, it was about finally making a mark. But who to choose? The community had a focus on the honorable trading of blows, creating big lines and allowing their fists to decide the winner. Was it time for me to cave in and join the throes of battle? Nah, what we needed was some rat-like behavior. Say hello to the Bankstreet Brodents, a clan of ferocious rats who was sponsored by a medical insurance company called Bankstreet to represent them in the BanterBowl. Yes, I gave them lore. It gets me more attached to the players and makes losing them excruciatingly painful. The deal was brokered by Vol Broodpapa, the patriarch of the clan, on the condition that he be made captain. So, I made him a blitzer, a player that starts off with a skill, and that one being block. We'll go into why these are useful later on, but just remember that himself and Bleeding Smile here were the only two blitzers I am allowed on this team, so they were going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting when it came to fighting, as they were pretty much the only two players I had that were capable of it. And whilst we're here talking about positional players, let's talk about the gutter runners. If Brewpapa and Bleeding Smile's jobs were to control fights, then the gutter runners would do everything that they could to avoid one entirely. They are naturally weaker than the average player, but make up for it by being nearly guaranteed to escape from rough situations. They're in the running, see what I did there, for one of the best players in the game, which also means that people like to punch them a lot, and I have to replace them a lot. Lastly, there's the line rats, who... they're just kind of here to take the punches that I'd rather the important players didn't. They're effectively cheap fodder, meat to put into the grinder, and I believe that's everyone. Oh, except this absolute unit. This is the Rat Ogre. We created him by dumping 30 line rats into a pit and waited to see which one would survive. He is the entirety of our strength on this team, and my goodness does he hit hard. Just when he feels like it. You see, sometimes he gets too angry and stands still brooding. Yes, that's an actual mechanic in this game. God, I love Blood Bowl. Dear viewer, I want to alleviate any worry that I'm just going to sit here talking through every single turn played all season. Rather, I want to celebrate those that took their time out to play in our league and talk about some of the key situations that popped up. Something a bit like this one. Just a moment ago, I said we would talk a little bit more about skills, and more importantly, the block one. Well, skills allow you to do some truly outrageous things in this game, but the block one acts pretty simply. Whenever someone tries to punch you in this game, they have to roll a dice. And one of those possible results is both down, which, as the name implies, you both hit the deck. Unless you have block. If you have that skill, then you get to stay on your feet. If you both have the skill, you both get to high five. However, if one of you has it and the other one doesn't, well, that, dear viewer, can be catastrophic. Now, I should clear up that your player doesn't always die if they get hit. If that was the case, I'd be losing rats at a pace far quicker than I could acquire them. Still, a 2-2 draw for the start of the season wasn't too bad. The casualties we both sustained was pretty bad. Psst. I'm starting to doubt Big Bro. Listen, there's no doubts that Big Bro is incredibly strong, but he's unreliable. And more importantly, considering how much he cost, he was about as durable as, well, a rat. Something that Lizzie and friends took good advantage of as they wiped out 6 of my players en route to a touchdown. It wasn't all bad news, mind you. Most of them were just knocked out, so they would have a 50-50 chance of returning during any break in play. If we could scrum for a touchdown before half-time, we'd get a few players back, as well as start the next half with the ball. Still a pretty good position to find yourself in. Bollocks. Alright, well, the possibilities of a win are out of the window, and we still have a numbers disadvantage. But wait, who's that I see? Big Bro? Well, I've obviously had my doubts, but with all my top players down and out, I needed a big play. I needed the Big Bro. Thank goodness the gutter runners are good at their jobs, otherwise this would have been a loss. 2 matches down and I was both undefeated but also winless. Therefore 3 points would be crucial against Multi and the Nuke kids on the block. One of the only coaches that had not replaced his team across any of our seasons. These guys were tough, these guys were murderous, and for whatever reason they were standing in a box formation. This is with them on offense, by the way. They kind of needed to move the ball. But you want to know the worst part about this entire strategy? The bit that really sours my dough. He scored off it. It actually worked. The Rats have 0 defensive capabilities. If somebody wants to get past the Rats, they are getting past the Rats. So if we can't defend, then we better make sure we can attack. And oh boy, when we can go from our own touchdown line to theirs in less than a turn with no real counterplay, yeah, I would say that our lack of defense is pretty well covered by overwhelming offense. And with that, we had our first win of the season. If we were going to put the pain of last season's semi-final defeat behind us, then we needed revenge on the coach that eliminated me. And Nuffle smiled upon our quest to take down Fampy because he decided today was a glorious day for Rain. The quick rundown as to why this is good for me is, well, this. Rain makes picking up and throwing the ball more difficult. Since these 2 actions are related to our agility, you can quickly figure out why this was a minor inconvenience for me and downright fatal to him. Fampy is one of the best coaches in the league, but this was a game that was over before the ball was even kicked. And given what those orcs have done in other matches, oh, I'm pretty glad about it. Goblins. A team so much fun to play against that even Big Bro felt like participating for a change, until he fell over. In this match against 2-time BanterBowl winners Zetzaro's Goblins, what a sentence that was, I got to experience everything that this race had to offer. To start with, they threw bombs at my ball carrier, which I politely declined. Unfortunately, they insisted and Big Bro turned out to be too much of a yes man. But at least this didn't prevent me from scoring. Okay, let me try that again. At least it didn't prevent me from scoring. Immediately following the touchdowns, Zetzaro subbed on a chainsaw. If you don't know what that does, here's a visual demonstration. The goblins aren't just limited to violent chaos either. The trolls can pick up and throw the ball carrier, with a 1 in 32 chance of eating them. Luckily for the bedside wonder, today he would not be lunch. Now, you might be wondering how these amazing gadgets are balanced or even legal. The answer is they're not, leaving me with a much easier task of dealing with regular chainsawless goblins. So, I was able to get the numbers advantage in both players available and touchdowns. But that just goes to show no matter how much fun the goblin team is, getting wins with them is quite some task. Though I appreciate our 2-time BanterBowl champion stepping aside from his championship winning undead squad to give the rest of us a chance. Going into week 5, only 2 teams were still undefeated. My Bankstreet Brodents and Smyther's Barcelona Bottle Jobs. A coach that had a pretty poor time of it last season was now flying high, and whoever won this game would be sitting pretty when it came to playoff contention, which the top 4 best performing teams would qualify for. Both of our teams shared 2 key traits. We were both exceptional at offense, and we were both useless at defense, leading to a touchdown bonanza. Halfway through, all strategy was out of the window. We both somewhat realized that we wanted to break the record for the most touchdowns in a single game, and we did that quite handily, with 7 touchdowns scored between us. Was I upset that I had my first loss of the season? Absolutely. Was I still happy to get through a week with no brand new injuries? Absolutely. Will I apologize for murdering this elf? No. As much fun as I had with the Smyther match, we needed to get back into form. And up next was the winless Kentary and his internal server errors. Now, this match was played during my day off during the RLCS World Championships, and I genuinely don't remember any of it. So, let's watch some of it together, shall we? Okay, that's not taking long. That's not taking long at all. If I was to try and blitz him. That was actually good. No, that's not bad play. That was definitely... Should have gone for the pit, maybe? That's what you get for not being brave. Okay, we've got tackle zones the entire way. Oh. Oh. Oh, that'll do it. Oh, we didn't go for it. Oh, it's Wrestle Rat as well. What? No! We didn't even have dodge. There was like 3 dice there that I could win with. And then just walks it in. That's the loss. After the amount of bash teams we've been playing against recently, it was actually quite nice to be the taller of the 2 teams that were playing on the field. Oh yeah, by the way, they have friends. This here is the Ogre team, where most teams are only allowed 1 big guy in their squad. This team gets 6. 6 rampaging, hard-hitting, sometimes too stupid to move, ogres of pure destruction. If they chose to punch one of my gut runners, they would get the choice of 3 dice to select the outcome. Usually the one that results in a rat-shaped smudge on the floor, and the continued justification of the janitor's job. As far as tier lists go, they're one of the worst teams in the game, but that does not mean any of us are in a rush to play against them. And oh, looky here, someone's made the mistake of leaving their bull carrier within the ogre's punching range. Yep, I deserve that. And with the ball now defended by a wall of ogre meat, I don't want to say that sentence again, I wasn't getting it back again this half. But maybe it wasn't the ogres I needed to be most afraid of. Big Bro had a damaged spine, making him more likely to be injured in the future, and even more of a liability than he had already been. Back on the field, we'd scrambled for a 1-1 draw, dropping even more crucial points. But off the field, we had a massive decision to make. And it was decided to release Big Bro from his contract. And at times like this, I have to be honest. I was ecstatic to see him go. Alright, so hear me out before calling me heartless. I understand all big guys come with negative traits, but I could not get over just how useless Big Bro had been all season. Low armor causing injuries, going 3 or 4 turns without doing a single thing. The only way to get good RNG out of him was by using him for my single blitz that I get per turn. Which means I'm wasting the potential of Broodpapa and Bleeding Smile, who had proven records at removing opposing players. And since losing my undefeated streak, my spot in the top 4 was under serious threat, with Fampy, Reese, and Louie having all caught up. The only thing really going in my way is the fact that Big and Bashers and Lizzie and friends needed to play against each other in the final week. I was still in a position where if I came out on top in my final matchup, I would qualify no matter what. However, a draw or a loss would also see me automatically eliminated. So yeah, no pressure then. So this was it, win and I was in, against an opponent who had been my nightmare matchup these past few seasons. The Dwarfs are considered by many to be the most boring team to play against, but that's because those people have not played against the Hox's Hoarders, a group of dwarfs that seem to firmly believe themselves as the elite passers of this game, which due to, percentages, don't tend to work out, except against me. Dear viewer, these Hail Mary plays have always worked against me, and today I needed that to not be the case. Thankfully, I had developed a new strategy to deal with him storming my defensive stand. I wouldn't defend at all. As long as the Hoarders scored with 2 turns left in the half, I could easily score before half time, get the ball back at the start of the next half, and then take my time scoring the second. This strategy did not work. He just injured 2 of my rats and scored with 1 turn left. I am a genius. Now in 8 turns I need to score, then steal the ball away from him, and then score again. The first step was pretty simple, but the second would require everyone to coordinate to make the season-saving play happen. Still, our place wasn't secured. Despite wasting as much time as I could, the Hoarders still had enough time to grab a draw. I set myself up for defense and hoped for the best. We had qualified. No matter what happened between Fampy and Louis, we were the number 4 seed. As a matter of fact, let's head over to that game now and see what's okay. The final qualification spot was coming down to the final turn of the final game of the season. Holding on to a draw would be enough to put Fampy through to the BanterBowl, while Lizzie and friends had to score. If Fampy was able to get 1 power or both down dice across 4 rolls, it would be nearly impossible for Louis to recover the ball and find a way through. There would be no second chances. Fampy was eliminated. Louis would move on. The BanterBowl playoffs had been decided. Semi-finals time. 2 wins away from the trophy, with the bottle job standing in our way. Smither had developed his team entirely to increase their scoring chances, something which was at full display the last time we played. And it was that loss that almost sent our season plummeting. And there was also this guy, Smither's prized level 4 lineman. Strength and armor increases meant that fighting him head on would have led to my rats getting rocked. Oh, and no one on the bench to replace him. Hold on. He's got no one to replace casualties. Reese and his team of Mega Undeath were your BanterBowl Season 3 winners. Congratulations to him, and I hope you all enjoyed this video because it was a nightmare to make. And if you are watching this video on the first day it came out, then tomorrow at 6 PM GMT, we are doing the Season 4 playoffs. So if you want to dip in and watch that, please do so. If not, there will be a link to the VOD over in the description. As always, I've been Shogun, you have been awesome, and I'll see you all next video. Love you, and goodbye.